This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Yo, you know what I was thinking about yesterday? How it might be time to start thinking about a new intro, put something new together.
No. No way. I mean, you could change the things that we throw spears at if you want, but no way are we changing that intro ever. That is the best intro in the history of bowling podcasts. No one will ever compete with that intro, and we ain't changing it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe something where we could put our heads on like a scene from like out of Dumb and Dumber. You know what I mean?
No, I'm all about 300. Now, maybe if you wanted to go with like a different type of, like, you're a Rocky guy, I know this. So maybe we could get Jimmy. By the way, can I just tell you that Jimmy, the Ring and 10, if you're not familiar, I call him by his first name, so I actually know him. But the Ring and 10 on Twitter, Rob, he deep-faked everyone this week. So at a tennis tournament, there was an interruption to the tournament because Cotton Eye Joe came on, right? Well, he went and found a video.
I saw that of Walter Ray
on YouTube where Walter Ray stops twice, okay? And he inserted Cotton Eye Joe into the video. And I'm not going to lie to you.
I thought for a second it was real too. But then I'm like, man, I've never seen that. I've never heard of that. I've never seen that.
He called me this week to tell me that called me while he was about to do something too. I forget what he was going to go do, but I was like, totally weird time to call me. But he called me to tell me that your brother Jeff in the chat, what's up, Jeff, was arguing with someone online who was saying it was real, and Jeff was trying to tell him, no, it's not. And I told Jimmy, I said, yo, like, I think that I thought it was real too. Yeah, I just thought it was something that I forgot about or whatever. And I mean, honestly, it's perfect because if you wanted to draw a character of what Cotton Eye Joe might look like, put some overalls and a flannel on Walter Ray, and he might be Cotton Eye Joe. No?
Dude, that's funny. Oh, man. I mean, I thought it was real for a sec. And then I was like trying to think, I'm like, man, like, when did that ever happen? Like, and me and you are usually on top of that shit. I'm like, nah, like that never happened. I'm like, yo, like, and it's Jimmy. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, Jimmy. Jimmy.
When I talked to him, I said, yo, like, you deep fake the bowling world, son. Like, that's how good your editing skills are, you know?
That was smart.
So maybe, you know, what I'm thinking, if you want to change the intro but keep it along the same lines, maybe Jimmy can come up with something where it's like Rocky punching Drago, but we have different items on Drago's face. You know what I'm saying? Like, do something.
Man, who says? Nature. Hey, man, I've upped my skills from the video editing department lately, so I might be able to do that myself. I don't know if you saw, but so real quick story. Oh, I went to that golfing trip a couple of weeks ago, and my friend got on the tee box and he missed. I don't know if you saw that, and I took his head and I put it on Happy Gilmore when he misses. And then when Chubbs gets behind him, is like, it's all in the hips. It's all in the hips. And it took me a little bit, but I enjoyed doing it. I thought it was funny. Anyway. All right, Mike. You didn't have a league review, but I hear
no league review because it was me and the wife's 15th anniversary yesterday.
15 years.
And I bowl on Wednesday nights, and made plans with the wife, had a babysitter. Went out to a real nice meal at
Congrats, dude, 15 years.
Thanks,
dude. I don't think I've ever been on 15 dates with the same girl, more alone like 15 years.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I got a good one, honestly. So
happy anniversary, man.
Yeah, we went out to a dinner in Hopewell, New Jersey, Brick Farm Tavern. Shout to Brick Farm Tavern. Home of Troon Brewing. If you're a
Oh,
fan
I
of
know you got
craft
some
beer,
IPAs. I know you got some
hell yeah!
IPAs.
If you're a fan of craft beer, especially in the New Jersey
Supplement,
southeastern
it's
PA
happening.
area, you've probably heard of Troon.
I miss Tim
So
too.
yeah, went and had a wonderful dinner and a little babysitter action. So yeah, I had to grab a sub. And I wasn't. Listen, it's a summer league. I ain't too worried about it. So first, I want to
Robert, what up?
preface
What's
what I'm
good,
about
man?
to say that I say half of this in jest, but don't really care about the summer league. I got a sub. I was just happy to get a sub. It's very hard to find a sub for this league. So I text a guy who regularly bowls my Tuesday night sport pot thing, and decent bowler, lefty. In this house, usually the left looks pretty good in this house.
It's my
Thank
guy.
you for all the happy anniversaries, guys. Appreciate it. So didn't really inquire about how it was going bowling wise. Wasn't really that worried about it. So I wake up on Thursday morning and I look at my phone and I have a couple texts waiting for me,
Oh
and
God.
one of the texts is from the guy who subbed for me, and it's like on the front of my phone, so I can only read the first line of text,
What did it
and
say?
and the first line of text says, "You would have been better off taking the blind," and I'm like, "Oh no, oh no."
Oh shit.
So I open up my text and again, shout to Gene for subbing for me. I appreciate it, bro. If you hear this, I'm just
Yeah,
having fun
summer
with it.
league. It's
Yeah, I do not care. I do not want to make it seem like I care.
I mean, you
But
want to win when you bowl, but when you're not there, you're not thinking about it, kind of thing, right? Is that does
yeah,
that does that kind of put it in perspective,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Like if I'm there and I'm bowling, I want to
You
bowl
want to
well.
win,
But if I'm not there, I
right?
don't get. And
It's like
like
who cares,
in terms of the money and whatnot, I'll be like I've already I've probably just about broken even in the league
right? Which
because
is
of
what you
pots
want.
I've won and card games I've won. So
But with Bolero lineage, man, you're probably
no,
up.
this is
You're,
at a private place. This is at a private place.
oh, okay.
So, so yeah, he had a rough night. He went 629 for 4,
That's pretty rough.
and only got 1 point out of a possible 25.
Oh man, I could have kicked the ball
So
down the lane and got more points.
so rough, rough night in the league. That probably eliminates the chances of me, having a top finish in that league in
It's
any way.
cool though, man. Like he
Yeah,
subbed,
I
he
don't
probably learned
care. Like,
he learned a lot, whatever.
he's a decent bowler. It was the USBC singles and doubles pattern, which I know is not easy and can be tricky.
Yeah, that's never
And
easy, that
and yeah,
pattern.
the place that we bowl in is rather tricky,
Yeah,
especially if you don't
I
bowl
got
there a
you.
lot, which he doesn't. So like I said, I was just happy to get a sub and not have to worry about not having someone there.
All right, so
Right.
let me ask you,
So
how many weeks left in the summer league?
2.
2 weeks, and then how much time do you get off until the winter? And where are you bowling the winter? Are you bowling your house? Are you bowling that house league that you said you might think about bowling? The
No,
the,
no,
the big money league?
I confirmed that today. The person whose team I was going to bowl on decided to bowl in actually, I don't think it's weird. They there's members of a league that has existed on Thursday nights for like 20 some years, and some of those teams went over to join this other big league that's now occurring. And my guy's team was one of the teams that was supposed to make the move, but apparently there was a miscommunication and he never got a spot in that league, and now there's a waiting list.
Okay,
So
so where are you planning on bowling in the winter?
so I honestly,
You're doing
as
your
of right
practice
now,
league, right? Your
I don't
practice.
even know. I don't even know. Like the so last year I ran the sport pot thing that we did,
Yeah, you're not
but
doing that again?
apparently, I mean, I don't know if we're doing it or not, but there's two other guys who've kind of, I don't, again, I don't care. Like, do whatever you want, but I'm just trying to do what people are telling me they want me to do. But yeah, they've kind of took it upon themselves to inquire about having an actual league this year. Trying to get three-person teams or two-person teams. I'll be honest with you, I'm not really interested in it. I'm not, especially with 10 teams or 11 teams. Like, I would rather just bowl the pot thing, be able to show up or not show up whenever I want.
I know, it's
If
so
we if
good.
we get
Why
if
don't
we
people want to
get
commit themselves? I don't
yeah,
get
if we
it.
get 16, 18 guys on an average week, that's plenty. The pots are okay. Like you're going to pay out an okay amount. I so yeah, I
So
don't I
what?
don't know what's going on. We're having a meeting. There's a meeting in a couple weeks to kind of decide like what we want to do. But everyone that I have talked to that bowled it last year and has bowled it in previous years has told me that they want to continue to do what we did last year. I cannot underestimate to you how much people enjoy bowling something where they're not committed to showing up every single week. And that I think that became the biggest selling point of what I was doing.
Dude, I've
And
talked about it so many times, Mike, on the show before about how long of a commitment a winter league is, bro. I did it last season. It was like 36 weeks, 3 hours a week on a 5-man like league. And dude, it is a long 3 hours. It is a long 36 weeks. And
and let's
people
be honest,
just love it.
there's weeks where you don't want to go.
I didn't
And
want to go half the
I
time.
think everybody feels that way to
I didn't
varying
want to go
degrees,
half
right?
the time.
Some people don't want to go half the time. Others have a week or two, here and there that they don't want to go. Some people, you're busy, you have stuff going on, you feel like I really don't, I could use this time tonight to focus on something different. For instance, the first couple weeks of September for me are going to be tough because my whole family schedule changes. We're back to school, the kids are back to dance, my daughter has soccer, so like I like to take the first couple weeks of September off just to see what my schedule is. Now, these last year we didn't start this I think until October. This year they want to start right out of the gate, like first week of league in September. So I can tell you I ain't going to be there for at least the first week or two.
So let me ask you something, Mike, because this is an interesting comment by Kevin Hey Bear. I get that commitment is too long, but without everyone bowling leagues, the centers are in trouble. Are they though? Are they? I mean, the bowling centers these days are doing better with open play. I know some bowling centers are filling up during the evening during leagues. So really, like, you think bowling centers would go under if leagues started to like dissipate? I just don't think so. I think the open bowling is too profitable, especially in like really uh, well populated areas like East Coast, Southern California. I could talk from experience how packed these bowling centers were. During the evening. So I don't know. It's a good question. I just don't think so. I think though the leagues do. I don't know why leagues are so I understand why bowling centers want people in the bowling centers as long as they do. And I understand why bowling centers would want 10-man teams, Mike, right? It makes business sense to keep people in your bowling center as long as possible. You got to be there for 3 hours. Dude, if you're there for 3 hours, you're going to buy food and drinks, right? I mean, it's a long time to be in the center without having a drink or something to eat. Um, but man, I hate the 10-man team. I hate it so much. I hate the 5-man. I think it should be banned from the sport. I think there should never be a 5-man team unless it's a college bowling and you're bowling Bakers, to be honest with you. I even think college bowling should go to 4-man teams. It's just way too long. I mean, we bowled some 8-game, 10-game blocks when we were in college. It literally would take an hour to hour 15 a game. Like, you're bowling in imagine 8 games, you're there almost 8 to 9 to 10 hours. It's crazy. But
I think I want to comment on somebody saying same comment, without everyone bowling league centers are in trouble. And I'm not saying get rid of leagues or something like that, or leagues don't
I'm
work.
not saying that at all. I'm
What
not
what I'm
saying that.
saying is I just think that there's opportunities to do things in different ways that are definitely outside the traditional standard for the way bowling leagues have been run. And I think that the 36 week, every week show up for the whole entire fall, winter, and spring is somewhat antiquated at this point. I think that I mean, look around at the leagues, man. I don't want to come on here and talk too much smack, but I'm going to be honest with you. Every house league I go into, it's seriously diluted, is what I'll say. It's seriously diluted. I mean, the the person that you are marketing that league to has changed dramatically over the last 20 to 25 years. Like, I remember going into some leagues, house leagues, in the late 90s and early 2000s, and every team had at least one guy that you knew was a serious player, serious bowler. Maybe they had two. Maybe they had a whole team full of guys that were serious players. You saw that from time to time. Now, I mean, there's entire leagues where I walk in and think, man, this league is just composed of guys who are just here bowling this league. Like, this is it. And yeah, I just don't think it's very strong. I think that it's kind of holding itself together with duct tape and glue, if you will.
It's just too long. Like, I see a comment in there that was talking about 18, or Leon Platt said, "I'd rather see two separate 15-week leagues to take up that time frame." And I agree. And there's nothing worse than being on a 36-week league or team with maybe people that you don't really want to bowl with, or you made a mistake when you
Right.
agreed to bowl. That's not saying with me in the case, because last season I love those guys that I bowled with. I'd bowl with them again in a heartbeat if they were closer to my house. But I remember you talking about Mr. X, and having someone on your team that you don't know is showing up every week. They flake the last minute. They're always calling in different types of subs, and you end up getting stuck in a 36-week marriage with these people, in a sense, right? They're annoying. They're bothering you. They're just all kinds of shit. And here you are, like, you committed to them for almost a whole year, to 3/4 of the year to just be spending 3 hours a week with them. So I think that's also important part is you have to really like the people you bowl with on league, because you spending some time with these people, and it's tough
See, now,
sometimes if you don't like that person or people.
yeah, I hear you, but I'll be honest. I think that when I say think outside the box, like, one of the things that comes to my mind is not allowing people to form their own teams. Finding a different and perhaps more fair, more equitable way to put teams together in these leagues.
You're thinking about it too much in a competitive nature. Like, most
Well, but
people that bowl leagues
hear
want
me
to
out
bowl with
though.
their friends.
Okay, but hear me out though. What if it's short sprints where you're constantly switching? Where, like, you bowl a 6 week, set with this team. Then you switch teams, you reorganize teams, you bowl another 6 week set. You reorganize teams, you bowl another 6 week set. And maybe 4 of those sets is your season. Something like that. I mean,
Depends what kind of league it is. You know what I mean? Like, how competitive is the
I
league?
agree. I agree. I agree. I think with a more competitive league, that has a better chance of
Yeah.
working. And
And Robert,
when I go back to Kevin's comment, you know, I'm I, I still want to get the bowlers in there. I still want to offer the league for as many weeks as I can as the bowling center, right? But where I'm coming from is, I think we need to make it easier for the bowler to take weeks off throughout a 36-week season
yeah,
and not have it be such a hampering chore,
I
right?
agree.
I'll make one more point to that. And I'm sure there's some leagues out there that do this, but in my experience, I'll be honest, I haven't seen it a lot. I have not seen a lot of, like, league teams carrying extra guys on the roster, extra players on the roster. So, like, let's say you have a 3-man league, right? 3-man team league. Why can't that league put a rule in and say, all right, every team is available to have a fourth or fifth person on their roster that's on your roster. They can't sub for anybody else. They can't come in and just randomly sub all over the place. And yes, at any given week, they are allowed to bowl on your lineup, and that is considered a legal lineup. They're not considered a sub. So if one week you want to have all 3 guys that are on your extras on your roster show up, you can do that. Like, I've never really seen that. And to me, that's beautiful. Like, that's a beautiful idea, because now, hey, if somebody can't make it, we got these other guys on the roster, and the guys on the roster know, all right, well, we're going to get a lot of weeks in, because there's going to be a lot of weeks where people can't make it. And then you kind of get to pick and choose who you want to put in your lineup at certain times for certain matches for certain reasons, right? So yeah, but see, now here's a point by Das. Wouldn't guys just put a ringer in? See, but I think that makes it harder to bring a ringer in because they got to commit to be a part of your roster, and they're probably going to be less willing to do that than they are to come in and just bowl 1 week, right? Now Kevin says every league he's ever bowled in does that. We keep 8 or 9 on our 5-man team roster. Wow, that's a lot. 9
Yeah, we
guys on
had
a 5-man team roster.
yeah, we had when I bowled in Bolero Mesa, we had 2 guys on our roster. So we had literally
Okay.
7. And those 2 guys were really valuable to us because
Yeah.
when you have a 5-man team, one person always had something going on the next week. Like they have
Right.
kids, parent
Right.
teacher conferences and
Yep.
whatever, right?
Yep.
And when you have those solid guys that you could like literally, and I was on these group messages where you'd send a text message and hey, Stewie, can you bowl? Yeah, dude, I'm down, I'll be there.
Right.
Like, dude, those are the guys you want, and the guys that and he's bowling great, right? He's 2.0 averaging and he's shooting 650, right? Like, so yeah, I mean, for me though, like I'll never ever bowl any other league other than anything more than a 3-man team league the rest of my life, Mike. Like I will not do that again. It's just way too slow for me. If I bowl league and I'm looking at maybe bowling a league, I'm thinking about it. There's like a trios league here on a Monday night around where I am. I'm not sure if it's a house or a sport, but it's probably house. To me, that would be the league I would want to bowl because I get out of there early too. I got to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to go to work, man. I don't want to be at the bowling center until 11 either. So, anyway, yeah, man. So are you bowling league next week though? You're going to
Yeah.
be there. We look forward to a league review next week.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, we'll see. My daughter has soccer camp next week, like for her team, for her travel team. They have their team camp, and that's Monday through Friday, 5 to 8. So yeah, I'll likely be able to make it to league. My league starts at 7:45, so I can go catch
All
some
right.
of her soccer camp before I go. But
Okay.
yeah.
So,
So somebody in the chat just brought up the idea of a ringer, right? And I have to say it made me think of a code break,
ooh,
especially with the sub situation,
okay.
because and let me explain here. I'm probably going to catch some heat for this, but that's okay. I'm willing to have those conversations that I need to have to say this publicly. So this summer league that I'm bowling, Rob, has an interesting format. It's a format that you don't see often. Okay, and here's how it works. Every week is a position week. Okay, every week is a position week, and
Okay.
6 people bowl on the same pair.
Okay.
Okay, for 4 games. So places 1 through 6 bowl on a pair for 4 games. 7 through 13 bowl on the same pair for 4 games. 14 through 20 bowl on the same pair for 4 games. And you are only bowling against those people for the night. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the way this league works out is the people who have been high in the standings continuously bowl each other, and the people that are low in the standings continuously bowl each other, and the people in the middle kind of flip flop all throughout the standings. Okay.
Okay.
So there's been a few instances this summer where somebody in the league who was lower in the standings needed a sub. Okay. And there's only a few people that regularly sub in this league. I'll say that. To my knowledge, there's only 3 people that I have seen regularly sub in this league throughout the
Okay.
summer. Okay, so
Okay.
your pickings are small, and if I can't find somebody to sub, forget it for somebody who just bowls your regular average house leagues and is doing this for a once in a while thing, because they certainly ain't gonna find somebody. So I understand why people end up asking the same people. But what happens in some instances is you get a much higher average player, more experienced on sport. They come in, they sub for somebody on one of the lower average pairs, and they just blow everybody out. They just blow everybody out, win all 25 points, and then that person who was lower in the standings is now making a huge jump, right? So here's my question. Is there a code break to bringing in a sub that's above your average? Is there a code break to that or no? Is it just no holds barred, every man for himself? There are no rules to that, or is it like no? If you bring in a bowler that's X amount above your average in that league, that's kind of a code break. And what is that number if it is a code break?
So here's my question, because in a team environment, you could sub somebody as high as the league fits you, right? If the cap is, if it's a 5-man team and whatever the cap is 950, you could only bring in someone to sub that could fit the 950, right? Now for this league that you're talking about, a singles league, the person that's subbing has a higher average, but essentially they're getting less pins, right?
There are no pins. It's all scratch.
It's all scratch. So the whole thing is scratch, right? There's no pins. There's no. Is there like a max or a cap to who they could bring in as an average? So if I'm a 202 average, I could essentially bring in Bill O'Neill to sub for me. You could bring in Bill O'Neill to sub for you for like 2 or 3 weeks in a row and completely probably get a lot of points.
Yes. No, I actually couldn't make that happen, but theoretically, yes.
Well, you're not getting Bill in that bowling center. You'd have to pay him an enormous amount of money to get him in that bowling center. I'd have to pay him
3 times what the league is worth. Are you kidding me?
You'd have to pay him more than he makes on tour probably half the year. But I'm just using that.
That's a phone call I would never make. Trust me.
No, I would still make it, by the way.
I wouldn't make. No way. I ain't making that.
So I'm just kind of wondering, like, it's a summer league, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone would be thrilled to bowl with Bill O'Neill. But if you brought in someone who wasn't a Bill O'Neill, right? Someone who was still just as good, it's a scratch league. So I don't think so, because you know what you're signing up for in a scratch league. You should be able to bowl and bowl against the best people, regardless of who you bring in the sub. Okay. So that would be my, like, if I was bowling that league and you were, let's just say, bringing in Bill to bowl, I'd say, first off, oh, Mike's, I would be mumbling under my breath, like, oh, Mike brought him Bill like 3 times, what a bitch. But
then you're saying it's not a code break.
But I'm saying it's not, because I'm bowling a scratch league. And it's like, I don't care if you bring in Bill, you bring in Alex Cavagnaro, you bring in, Pepe, you bring in whoever, Quentin Collins, you bring in the best people you can in the East Coast. Like, I'm bowling a scratch league. I should be able to beat these people. You know what I mean?
Okay, so what about in a non-scratch league environment? Is it even less of an issue, I guess, then?
Well, you have a max and you have a cap to stop them from doing that, right? So if you have a 200 average and your team could fit a 220, you're bringing the 220, but you're getting less pins, right? So
people feel like it evens out in the end.
Well, people are gonna bitch. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. Bowlers, especially league bowlers, are going to bitch about you bringing in someone who, you bring in a Joe Pelusic, right, to sub for you. People are going to bitch about it, right? Oh, Mike bringing in Joe, he's bringing him in 3 weeks in a row, and but
Joe would probably ask me for more money than Bill would. Surprise.
But scratch league is like, it's,
Jesus.
Hey man, I signed up to bowl scratch league. It's like when people sign up to bowl a house handicap league, Mike, or a house handicap scratch league. Like, don't bitch about the sandbagging, okay? Because you signed up to bowl a handicap house tournament, right? It's the same thing with a scratch league. I'm bowling a scratch league. Don't bitch if you bring in a Joe Pelusic or an Alex Cavagnaro to sub. That's just my opinion.
How about this comment? How about this? This is interesting. It's a single scratch league. You cannot have a sub. Your opponent bowls against your average. Your absence only hurts you. It is different if it is a team environment. Interesting. Michael Savage with the comment. I got to say, Mike, I kind of agree with that. I kind of agree with your take there. The only knock I could give on that take is that the average that you're talking about is based on different patterns, right? So, yeah, like, you could be getting your average from this composite of patterns, whereas on this particular pattern, your average may not have been as high, or maybe this pattern's tougher than the composite of the other patterns. But
Dude, that's
generally
just the
speaking, though,
handicap system in general. That's the flaw of the handicap system in the bowling world in general. What you just stated about having higher average in different bowling centers and different patterns, that's the whole flaw of the handicap system in the bowling industry
no, well,
in
the real
general.
flaw of the handicap system is that it's so easy to strike that when you give ridiculous amounts of handicap, it's too easy for the lower average player who is receiving said handicap to shoot a game that makes it extremely hard, if not impossible, to win. So that's
Yeah,
the main problem with
there's a lot of
handicap.
problems, but I mean, there's a lot of them, in my
If
opinion.
you make them tough, the handicap would work a lot better than it does. I promise you.
I mean, there's a lot of problems with the handicap system. So, but all I'm saying is the point is, if you're bowling a handicap house tournament, don't bitch about people sandbagging. If you're bowling a scratch league, don't bitch when they bring in a sub who's. But I do feel like there should be maybe a cap on how many times that you could bring in a sub.
Mm, okay.
I would bring that up in the league meeting and say, hey, like, if I'm bowling a 12-week summer league or a 15-week summer league, you should only be allowed maybe like a sub to come in maybe twice, right? And then the rest of the time, you would probably have to use your whatever your average is or your 10-pin drop or something like that.
Yeah. The other problem is, yeah, yeah. No, I hear you. There's issues. There's issues no matter how you look at
It
it. But
is.
and I
So,
ain't saying anything because I don't really care. Don't care if the rules change. I'll probably still bowl the league again next year. But
okay.
yeah, it's just like I said, it came up in my head in terms of a code break. So
Yeah, no.
all right, Rob, let's keep it moving. We have other things to discuss
Yeah,
here.
I want to talk a little bit about the partnership that Sweep the Rack has with the Agent On Open. My guy Carl, we spoke on the phone. I want to be involved with his tournament. I want to just support it, right? Because this is his first tournament. It's going to be a big tournament, and yeah, we got our own sweeper, Mike. Or as my brother called it, the sweeper of the rack tournament, which is pretty cool. Going on Thursday night, October 19th, in Chandler, Arizona. I believe it's Kyrene, Bolero Kyrene. And yeah, that's the night the action match is going on. So which means I will probably be there. I won't be bowling. I will probably be in the commentating booth. I am currently making some changes to my bowling game, and I am not ready to bowl yet. Let's just say making some major changes to my bowling game, and I am still on the shelf as of now. But yeah, it's exciting. First place is 1,500 for the sweeper. It's like the opening night of like his whole weekend of his tournament. I've shared a flyer on our Facebook page, our Instagram page. First place is 10 grand guaranteed. There's a bunch of different divisions, a lot of sponsors, a 1-in-5 cut ratio. But yeah, I should be there making some commentating, some first time in the booth. It'll probably be interesting. I'll probably say a lot of shit I shouldn't say, but it'll be on Bullstream TV. And yeah, it'll be interesting. And
Yeah,
it'll be a great tournament.
find
So
out if there's a way they could patch me in there.
you want to get patched in for this
Yeah,
for the
find out if there's a
commentating?
way they could patch me in. Yeah,
The
I'll
winner gets a
clear my
rosin bag and a
schedule.
T-shirt. No, we're not giving that away. What are you kidding? You
I'm down to
people,
give away rosin bag and a T-shirt.
hell no. That's
I'll take
1,500.
care of that.
Uh, anyway, so just want to throw that out. If you have any questions or you want to talk to anybody, talk to Carl. I shared the email and the website on our social media. So
And if
it's
you're local to the area, get out there and bowl the event.
dude.
Consider bowling the event.
If people from California, Arizona, even some like closer people from Texas should be traveling to bowl this tournament. There's a lot of action in this tournament. There's a lot of brackets. There's gonna be a lot of guaranteed money, 1-in-5. It's gonna be a pretty good tournament. Anyway, okay. That being said, let's time to move on here, Mike. You want to talk PWBA?
Sure.
So PWBA, 3 events that they've had, I believe, since last week. They've been pumping out the events, right? They had the Waterloo Open, the Pepsi Open, and then the PWBA Tour Championships, which literally just finished up a couple days ago.
Last night, right?
last night. So the first event was the Waterloo Open. It was a good. I mean, good ladder, right? Diana and man, I've been trying to say her name right, but I'm just gonna call her DZ. DZ just like getting comfortable, and she's just getting relaxed, Mike, and just you could just tell how confident, how much her confidence has built from the beginning actually of the year compared to now. Like she's just
I only saw the first few matches of that
okay.
show because I had to
Mhm.
go. I had to run out. I had to go somewhere. I forget where we were going, but we had some family stuff going on. So I
Yeah,
only saw the first. I think she beat Jillian Martin in one of those matches. Did
she
she
did
not?
249 to 223.
Okay,
That
yeah,
was the
and
second match.
I'm going to be honest with you. Jillian Martin let that match get away.
Yeah,
Diana Zavjalova shouldn't have won that match, in my opinion. Jillian should have won that match. She just made some bad shots at the wrong times.
I mean
Uh,
she's still a junior, I think,
I
Jillian, right?
know, and it's awesome to see her
Make step
go through
ladders.
these, yeah, make step ladders and go through these trials and tribulations because man, you know what's coming. I mean, you know how that's eventually going to go. If history tells us anything with other players,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah, I'm
first
just
off,
saying. I think Diana got somewhat fortunate to
well, you
get
got to get a
through
little
that
fortunate,
match.
right, to win some of these. I mean, you got to get fortunate. You got to put yourself in the position to get fortunate, right?
Like
And I
I
think
might be mistaken here, but I think Jillian Martin left a 410 at one point in the match. I
I don't
might be
remember.
mistaken. It might have been a 210. But yeah, just like I said,
Yeah.
when I watched it, I felt like yeah, she was kind of fortunate to get through. But once she got through, I wasn't surprised to hear that she won
Yeah.
because
She beat Jordan Richard.
her ball reaction was sick. I
Yeah.
mean, she just had like that, like no matter what she did to it, it was hooking when it got right, and it was holding when she got it a little bit left.
Dude, it's yeah, I mean, she went through Jillian Martin, Jordan Richard, and then beat Shannon Pluhowski. Shannon Pluhowski match, I mean, she only missed once. She bowled 279. She beat Shannon 244. Shannon seems to just get so close and just can't like seal the deal on a lot of events. In my opinion, she seems to be every time she leads a tournament by like 500 pins, it seems like she always loses in the finals. I don't have any stats to back that, but it just seems
Recently,
that
that
way.
seems to be the case somewhat. I'll say
Yeah.
that.
So DZ, climbing the ladder was a DZ show. Just just having a really good like last half of the year, and then we go to the Pepsi Open. Jillian Martin makes the show again, Mike. Step ladder, right? But this show was a interesting show because it seemed like Verity Crawley was gonna have the look, and then she ran into her best friend and they bowled each other. And that match was decently close, I think, until the last two frames. And I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. I don't want to like give any wrong details, but the scores were decently high, and then all of a sudden, the scores hit the shit in the finals. Mike, DZ Bull, Caitlin Johnson, and I think the match started off with like nobody striking. I think until like the fourth frame or something. The transition really got to them. They were trying to make moves. It was a really good strategic match, like to watch. And I've said this on previous shows. I watch the women differently than I watch the men. I watch the women shows as more of a competitor bowler. I put my competitor bowling hat on watching the women. Um, I just think since it's not on, Big Fox or FS1, it's just for me, it's more of just like sitting back on my couch and just like watching these amazing female like women bowlers like make shots, make adjustments, switch bowling balls. Like it just becomes like an execution of who can make the best shots, who makes the best decisions. And it's fun to watch sometimes as a competitive bowler. I watch the men differently. I watch the men more of a fan. I want to be more entertained by the men, and the women I watch more of a competitive bowler. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but
I definitely feel like I can learn more from watching the women than I can from watching the men, just because I think there's more similarities in the way the lanes play and the way the lanes break down. But yeah, to Caitlin Johnson's credit, I read an article this week. I forget who it was by. It might have been by Jeff Rickles. I'm not sure, but it was basically an article about how like she was ready to quit bowling on tour. Actually, did quit bowling on tour. Gave up her card. Got a full time job, etc. And comes out here to this event and wins and has this level of success. So,
Yeah, first title.
yeah, always good to hear those types of stories.
Yeah,
I don't
first
know.
title.
I don't know if it'll change things for her, but I definitely think that it's a good story. It's a nice story when you hear somebody who had those struggles to the point where they were giving it up, and they come through and they break through and they win. Jeff saying that they make the lanes harder for the women than the men's walled up shootouts. Like I will say this, Jeff. I know there's probably some a little bit of sarcasm in your comment there, perhaps, but um, I definitely think that the ladies are forced to play more varied angles on the lane than the men are for longer periods of time. Like you'll see the ladies get in and be backing it into the head pin, almost fade, and they'll be doing that for a number of games. Whereas, with the men, you usually just see two, a variation of two. They're either out for a couple games in the beginning, and then they jump in and they're playing just silly angles from left gutter, left side of the lane, lofting, etc. So, that's why I say that I feel like when I watch the women's game, it compares a little bit better to what I see when I go out and bowl events or bowl sport leagues or bowl little local tournaments and things of that nature. So
So it's just more comparable with your own game. Like, I mean,
yeah,
for me, like how I throw the ball, I could compare myself more similar to like a Verity Crawley than I could watching EJ Tackett, right? Or a Simonson or a Belmonte, right?
sure,
So I think there's more you can like one-handed traditional stylists. Like there's only a few people who could throw it like EJ Tackett and for the women, I could you could compare more with like a Verity or a Jordan Richard, right?
yeah,
I think there's a little bit more of a similarity when it went with our games and people, a lot of more people out there to them than to watch the best of the men in the world who not a lot of people can do what they do physically, right?
yeah.
Um, so
So then you get to the major championship. I
the
watched
tour
that.
championship.
Yeah, I watched that whole show the other night, and good show. I mean, there wasn't much excitement there, which is funny to me because like
Well, what about the
you
one ball roll off with Verity and Aaron? I mean,
yeah,
that
when I
that
say excitement, I mean emotion. I guess
I
is
mean,
a better word, right?
well, that's what I'm saying is
Like
there's
they're
not.
bowling
I
for
don't watch it as an
serious
entertainment.
money too, and like you would think it really matters to them, and it just doesn't seem like it matters all that much. Like even the people that win don't seem that enthralled that they won,
So
So
let me ask you, and that's an interesting point, because yes, the women, there's something missing on these shows, and I agree with you, and an entertainment factor of it, emotions, excitement, like really like exciting, like there is something missing, right? The ladies, they need a Pete Weber type, right, to go in there and like really like spark some things up, right? Um,
yeah, I
and
just
it's
think I think very similarly to the PBA tour. It's because a lot of them are close, and it's small and it's a tight knit community,
yeah,
and
yeah,
people
they're
don't want to
friends
ruffle
and
each other's feathers and be perceived as too competitive and this and that, and
yeah, I
it
know
just doesn't make for good entertainment.
it doesn't.
You need competitors to dislike each other in a lot of
You do,
instances.
you do.
You need competitors to want to beat each other.
You know
You
what I was
know,
watching today? I
you
was
need
watching
competitors to not care about how the other competitor feels about their celebration or their joy of
like
winning.
I was watching today on Netflix the documentary on the malice at the palace
Okay.
with the Pistons and the Pacers like
Right.
fighting and the fist fighting and them going in the crowd. Look, people, I'm not saying that's what the PWBA needs, right? We don't need a Malice in the Palace, the PWBA women like version of it, but they didn't like each other. I mean, Ben Wallace and they didn't like each other, like the Pacers and Steven Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal and Ron Artest, right? They didn't like anybody, right? Um, but that's what made it entertaining, right? And that's what made it you knew when the Lakers played the Celtics, right? Or you knew when the Celtics or when the Red Sox played the Yankees that there might be some shit going down, so you want to watch that stuff.
Remember when Pedro Martinez took the old coach, I forget his name,
Yeah,
and grabbed him by the head
Zimmer,
and threw him
Don
down.
Zimmer.
Don Zimmer
Yeah,
threw him
I
into the
remember
ground.
that.
I mean, like, yeah, like I mean,
That's great. That's some like that's must watch TV. And even Pete Weber said it in his interview. He says, "You might hate me, you might love me, but you watch me." Right?
Lou
Um,
chiming in. What's good, Lou? He says, speaking of PDW, he had to get helped off the lanes yesterday.
what is
Barely
it? What is
walked
that?
from what I heard. Anyone
Was
know
that his
his
back?
status?
Was that his back? Like
I
what
don't
what
know.
happened?
I did not see that. I have not heard anything about that. You know,
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, we knew. Yeah, we saw Pete Weber win at his interview, which was, Pete Weber-ish, right? Which
vintage
is
Pete.
great. Vintage Pete, right? Hey, like, I'm still here. Pretty much I'm still here, motherfuckers. Like, which is awesome to see because the PBA 50 needs a healthy winning Pete Weber. They need it. I mean, I would
Okay,
love to.
his back went out, is what people are
Yeah,
saying. So back
I
injury.
knew.
All right. I mean,
Yeah, he's had a bad
it's to be
back.
expected. It's to be
Yeah.
expected.
Oh, that's such a terrible injury too as a bowler, man. There's no
Yeah.
worse than a back and a knee. There's no worse of an injury.
But it was that PBA major, PWBA major show was entertaining. It was interesting, but it wasn't entertaining.
Well,
I'll
that's
say that
why
much.
that's why I talk about putting my like competitive bowling hat on because I'm
Yeah.
not expected to be entertained watching the women,
Okay.
right? Like I kind of understand and know that there isn't going to be a lot of emotions. There's not going to be a lot of like interesting things. But if Sean Rash was bowling, a Belmo or was bowling, or Simo was maybe bowling, on TV, like you're watching and you are waiting for something to happen, or something like interesting to happen, right?
Yeah, but to me, it was a story of Erin McCarthy had it until she didn't have it, and when she didn't have it, Maria Rose,
Jose Rodriguez.
Jose Rodriguez found it and was able to capitalize on it. And it's funny because uh, Jose Rodriguez started the match struggling. She started the match with the ball going high. And I was thinking, oh man, Erin McCarthy's going to eat her up here early. And then you can see the transition kind of happen for Erin McCarthy. And
Well,
she
Aaron
got into
McCarthy.
trouble herself.
Well, Aaron McCarthy lost to Dasha
Oh,
Kovalova.
that's right. You're right. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. And that's when she lost it during
Yes,
Dasha, and then Dasha
that's
went and beat
that's
Maria
the
Jose
match I'm
Rodriguez.
talking about, where they
Yeah,
where
yeah,
they
yeah,
both had some struggles in the beginning, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
Dasha was able to find it, and Aaron never really found it. You're right.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I
So
had I had that match confused.
no,
And
you're fine.
Aaron McCarthy, the match before,
Yes.
making the bad shot in the 10th, but then recovering with the split to win, was probably the most impressive shot of the night to me.
Yeah. It's the women bowling, like I said, is just it's one of those things where you really have to watch it and understand how good they are. The strategy, the adjustments they're making, a lot of stuff going on during those matches that a lot of people aren't like privy to be honest with you. But you really need to see what they're doing and watching their ball reactions and the moves they're making, and they're very good. Obviously, they're the best in the world, and they're amazing. They're amazing bowlers. Entertainment wise, yeah, there's just it is just something that is missing in that sense for sure.
So remind me of how the last match went down then, because I was convinced that the scenario that I was speaking of was the last match.
Well, I mean, Maria Jose won 234 to 200. I don't remember exactly the like details of like frame by frame of what happened
Okay.
in that match. I really don't remember,
Okay.
honestly. I do remember the one ball roll off. That was what I did remember for some reason.
I know that she got up in the 10th and it was over. I know that. I remember that distinctly.
Yeah.
That she didn't really have to do much in the 10th at all except stay behind the line. But yeah, shout to her, man. Second major title, I believe. Third major title.
I don't know. Nico probably knows. He'll talk. I don't really know, to be honest with you.
Jeff Rickles was dubbing her with the name Major Maria. You know,
The two majors.
like
Now she's
Major
Major
Mika.
Maria. Let's if
Yeah,
she won
three
two
majors.
majors.
Three majors.
Three
I was right.
majors.
Yeah, three
Okay.
majors. Yep.
Maybe minor Maria. Maybe at major 4 we can call her Major Maria. All right, Mike. There was a big deal that was signed today. The announcement was made on a Thursday. I love when the PBA makes announcements on Thursday. That they signed a 2-year extension with Fox.
More shows.
So
8
I'll read.
shows on Fox, on Big Fox, and 22 shows on FS1.
Yeah, 30 televised programs, 8 2-hour broadcast Fox windows, and 22 2-hour FS1 windows.
Oh, you know what that means, son.
That means there's going to be some betting going on.
Probably not.
No,
they
I
ain't
mean
gonna go in
on
that
Bet
direction.
Rivers, there's going to be some
Yeah,
bets on
for
Bet
us,
Rivers.
yeah, for us, but not widespread like we need it to be. No,
My
there's
brother's
going
like
to be
18-man step ladder. God, I
there's
hope
going to
not.
be more. There's going to be more. There's going to be more 17-man step ladders.
God, I hope he learned his lesson. And I'm talking about Tom Clark.
I'm
I hope he learned
serious.
his
I
lesson
mean,
on that.
8 2-hour shows on regular Fox. There's only 4 majors. So that, like, at a minimum doubles the time that you have for each major, and that's not going to be the case. So there's probably going to be at least one major that's going to have numerous shows attached to it.
So I guess look, I'm a big fan of the extension. I mean, how could you not be a fan of this if you're a bowling fan or player, right?
Yeah, I'm a
Bowling,
fan of it depending on what they do with it.
yes,
What are
I
they going to
understand
do
that.
with it?
I
Like,
understand that.
are we going to get more bullshit and clowniness? Or are we really going to try and do something productive with it?
I mean, it depends how much time and effort they spend in trying to figure out what to do. Like, really, like I would love to be a fly on the wall when they're going through these shows and them understanding how much time they have on TV and then putting the tournaments behind those shows. I would
And
love to be in those
using
meetings.
the time in a better way.
I
Using
agree.
the time you have on TV in a better way,
So
But
look,
and here's the reality though. The season's going to start in January again, and the bulk of the season is going to be going up against the NFL and the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I mean, until bowling can kind of get out of that position, not much is going to change, man. Going up against football in the NFL, you got to find your own lane. You really do. You got to find that time of the year where bowling can be a real option for people who want to watch sports and possibly bet on sports. I mean, it's ridiculous the shit I'm seeing on ESPN these days. It's ridiculous what I see on FS1 right now. The stuff they're airing. It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
One thing that I really want them to do and would love to see them do is to put together something that's not just bowling related. That is maybe something that's very creative and very well done, where they are able to take the people outside of the bowling lanes and to show the viewers more of the personalities of the pros that they're trying to showcase, instead of just going through the motions and just putting bowling on TV. And I think they need to get their mindsets out. And I think the bowling industry for decades, the mindset has just been, let's just get bowling on TV. Like, let's just get it on TV.
Right,
Let's
or we
just
have
put
to
it on
keep it on
TV.
TV at all costs, right?
We just need to get it on TV. And then when you criticize it as a fan or us or media content, you get people that are firing at us because they're like, you should just be happy bowling's on TV. Like, or you should just be happy that it's there. Like, no, like that's not what I'm saying. Is like you have all this time that
Right
is
now we're on
in front
TV.
of you.
What are we going to
You're
do
on
with it?
TV. What are you going to
Right. What
do
are we
with
going
it?
to do with
Right.
it? Right. What are we going to do
Right.
with that time?
Let's just
Lou,
not go
Lou's
through the
saying,
motions of bowling. Like,
yeah, Lou's saying he wants to see retro formats, 18, 24, top five. Let me ask you this, because I think we all like that format, right? But I want to, Lou, I want to go that format combined a little bit with what Rob was just talking about using the time in a different way, right? Rob, how would you like this? How would you like a 18, 18 game qualifying, top 24, 24 games round robin match play, top five step ladder, where you dedicate it's a 3 hour show, okay, over 2 days, right? 1 hour on one day, 2 hours for the step ladder on the other day. And in that 1 hour show, and maybe you go back to it in the 2 hour show as well. You show highlights, clips from it. In that 1 hour show, basically what you try and do is you try and produce a Brad and Kyle like review of the tournament for the five guys that make the step ladder. Like whatever you got to do to make that happen, you get footage on all the bowlers that are in the top 24. You follow them around, you get comments from them throughout the whole match play blocks, etc. And then when it's down to the top five, you chop that up. You take the content for each player, you put it together, you show people behind the scenes of how they got there, a little bit of their personalities, etc. in a 1 hour show. In that same 1 hour show, you discuss betting odds. You get it sponsored by a betting company. You make it clear that here, you're able to bet on this. Get your bets in now. Here's your best bets from Randy and Rob, and here's the best bets from all these experts we have. And then the next day, you have the step ladder.
maybe because I don't know if all the talking and all the like, it depends what kind of content is out. Um, for me, the more I think about it, get rid of any of the like. First off, they need to trash. They need to dump the position round seating days that they do on TV, where they have the five bowlers bowling for seating positions. Get the F rid of it. Dump it. First off, that's the first thing you get rid of.
It's only for one event, but I agree.
Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, the qualify. Like, I don't want to see bowlers just bowling on TV. I want to see them bowling heads up matches, okay? Let alone, but I don't want to see it in an 18-man step ladder. For me, the format you need to go, that is the most exciting format, is the bracket style format, right? Everybody understands it. It's an
Best of
easy
three,
format.
best of five, best of seven.
Yes.
Only two
even the
guys
playoffs.
make the show.
Yes, even the PBA playoffs is a good format, right? To me, that's probably, besides the Masters, is probably the most exciting televised event, right? Because of the fact where you're following the bracket and you're getting TV coverage for every match that was on, right? In
Right.
that bracket. Almost like, think about it, the NCAA tournament, right? Where you never had to watch a game ever by one of the teams, but if you watch them in the 64-man bracket and you watch the team win because you bet on them, and then you're like, okay, they're in the 32, I'm going to bet on them again, and then you watch them again and they win. Now you're starting to build some kind of relationship between the fan and the team, because not only you're betting and you're winning on the team, but you're also watching their every game, right? Because of it.
So how do you imagine that playing out? And like you want let's say a 32-man bracket that plays out over several shows. Where
Oh yeah.
show one,
Yes.
well, I mean, 32-man bracket, Christ, you have 16 matches. That would be a
Yes.
lot to cover, But okay,
Correct.
16 matches the first show, then 8, then 4, then 2.
Whatever they can do. Whatever they can do. Whatever they could do to fit. I'd rather see best of, like, a best of, maybe best 2 out of 3 match, right? Or even the PBA playoffs, the way they do, where best the first to 2, and then you go to a 2-frame roll off.
Yeah,
I really
see, I
like
don't
that
like
format.
that. I don't like that.
It's better than what they're doing, though.
Yeah, but
Like,
I just give me that third game. Just give me a best of with
give it
the
a third
third
game.
game.
Best 2 out of 3 on TV, and you put a 32-man bracket, and I think there's nothing wrong with making that format for a majority of their tournaments, right? They did that a while ago with the best 4 out of 7, right? It caused a lot of people, the players weren't really happy about the format. The fans were the ones that were benefiting. So I like that format, and I really think it's all about the match play. And to me, how you showcase the player personalities is you create a show like Flow Bowling did. And I'm not saying exactly like that, but I'm saying you create a actual show where people aren't expecting to watch bowling. They're going in knowing that this is a show that is like following your favorite pros, like they do with the FS1, or the Netflix racing series, or they do with the golf, right? The golf series on Netflix, right? Where you're watching a show where you're not expecting bowling, but you're expecting to be like sitting with your pros, essentially going from tour stop to tour stop. So there's a lot of different things. All I'm saying is they need to be creative. Get rid of just bowling on TV. Bowling on TV is boring. Nobody wants to watch just people throwing bowling shots and bowling a game with no competition, with no anything. It's just, it gets me my blood boiling that they keep putting that shit on. And you have the opportunity now at all this Fox time. So
Yeah, but this announcement to me is just, whatever. I mean,
what do you mean,
it's
whatever? I
cool.
mean, you got to be happy about it. You see bowling on TV for 2-year extension.
Yeah,
Like
I
I'm happy
agree.
about
But
it.
again, what are we going to do with it? Right?
Well,
we
what are
going
we
to do
going to
with
do with it? That's on the PBA to figure out and to make it more entertaining. But you think the PBA will listen to the fans? You think they'll listen to people like us or people, out there? Or you think they'll actually, interview people or do some kind of marketing research to find out why people aren't watching bowling or what would make them tune in? Like, I don't know if they're doing that kind of stuff.
Fair enough. All right, let's give the people what they want, Rob.
Yes, sir. Oh, wait, where is it? Oh, there it is. Man, I gotta throw a shots to Uga, man. This is like my number one troll on Twitter, giving me props. That's pretty, man. I appreciate it, dude. I don't know. He's always got a beef with me for some reason, Uga. But I like
Another
you, Uga.
another hater behind a fake name.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. It's something about Uga. Like he watches and he like responds, but man, he's always giving me shit. I'm fine with it. All right, Mike. Let me pull
Probably
my.
another professional bowler with no courage, but that's okay.
I wonder how many Pro Bowlers have burners that watch our show.
More than one that I'm aware of.
All right, I'm gonna go first here. I'm giving my guy to Philip Vale from Storm Bowling Fans. And it's more of the last sentence of this comment that made me literally laugh out loud and actually responded to it because I couldn't resist. Has anyone had any bad scratches on a Roto Grip Duo? I've only had the ball for 2 months, and last Monday I got a deep scratch on it. Must have been from the lanes because several people's bowling balls got lots of scratches in the track area. All right, we've all been there before. I spent almost $280 on the ball. Okay. I'm hoping one of the mechanics can buff the scratch out for me. So my response is like, why wouldn't you give it to your pro shop operator to try to buff it out? Why are we gonna what are you gonna give it to the mechanic who sits in the back? Like literally, what is he gonna buff it out with? Like
You'll be lucky if you get it back without poop in the thumb hole.
I know, like
give it to the mechanic. He's
Dude,
gonna use it as a toilet receptacle in the back.
Mike, if the mechanics were anything like the mechanics that I grew up with in Gil Hodges lanes, that is the last people you're giving the bowling ball to buff out the scratch, right?
Yeah, just you asking that of them, they will take the ball to the back and put a drill through it and bring it back to you.
Dude,
Pieces.
the mechanics at Gil Hodges, they would have took the ball and you would have never seen it again. They would have plugged it up and drilled it for themselves. And then when they were using it in their league the next week, you'd have been like, yo, that's my ball. No, it's not. Literally, that's like what the mechanics would have done in my center. So I don't know, man. Like,
oh god.
Dude, I gotta read this. The mechanic is gonna make love to his thumb hole. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Dude, could
Oh,
you
boy.
imagine? All I could see is this mechanic in the back of the lanes with this like homemade buffer and like a screwdriver and a hammer, and he's like trying to like buff this like chip out of someone's bowling ball.
The
Like,
only way I want a mechanic to touch my bowling ball in the back is if I need a ball return.
dude, I don't want
Okay,
my
that's it.
dude. If the mechanics that we knew growing up, I don't want them going anywhere near my equipment, man.
Well, I hope he hears this, and I hope it's not too late because, like, yeah, maybe he already gave it to the guy and learned his lesson the hard way. I hope
Well, man,
not.
I
I hope this gets
responded.
back to him.
I'm like, why in the world would you give this ball to your mechanic? And when he's funny when these people put these Facebook threads up, Mike. Everybody, like 15 people, will all put the same answer.
Yeah.
It's like nobody's reading anyone else's comments, and it's just like, give it to your pro shop operator. Don't give it to your mechanic. And then it's like 15 of the people, different people saying the same thing. Anyway.
All right, here's mine, and this is going to generate another code break question here.
Okay. I saw this one. I know where you get it. I know which one this is. I saw it.
This is from the Bowling Science Forum, which happens to be a treasure trove of worst of the week material. This is from Bud Kennedy. Bud, congratulations! You've won worst of the week for your post here, Bud.
Congrats, brother.
Here's the post: ball return crowding. Ball return crowding. So many folks bring multiple bowling balls to the lanes that it does not take much to have a real mess on the ball return. At first, I was like, Bud, I feel you, brother. Let's get at these patch pirates with their 9 bowling balls to their house leagues.
Preach on, brother Bud.
That's right. Preach on, brother Bud. Taking up all the space on the rack, and poor Mama Mia can't even get her
amen
ball on there.
Okay? Let me get an amen, brother Bud.
Seems like folks have balls stashed everywhere and just trying to walk around the bowling area or take a seat. There are extra balls all over the place. I mean, this is hilarious to me. Now I started to see the comedy in this post because he's right. Like, people do have balls stashed everywhere. You just see people walking into random areas of the back and coming back with the ball. You go to sit down on a seat. There's 2 balls on every seat. I mean, Bud, I can feel you a little bit here, Hoss. It's kind of an epidemic in our game right now. So he poses this as a question: just what is the correct protocol for this situation? I am from an era where most folks had a single ball, or if they had more than one, they did not stash them all over the bowling area.
We got traditionalists here.
It is really a pain in the butt. I imagine that likely are a bunch of league-generated rules about this kind of situation. Oh, boy. Bud, where you been? Where you been, Bud? My brother in Christ. My brother in bowling. The patch pirates are showing up with 12 balls to league, son. You don't think there's going to be more than 1 ball per person on the rack?
There is no way for you, if you're a bowler in today's day and age, Bud, to get away from bowling balls being everywhere. Okay. That ain't going anywhere. That'll be there to stay. There's not enough room in the bowling centers. There's not enough places for you to keep your bowling balls, for their bowling balls not to be everywhere.
But don't you understand that when I'm bowling my house league, okay, and I'm trying to go 10 for 10 in brackets against Mama Mia and her senior club, okay? Don't you understand that when I leave that 4-pin, okay, no, the move is not to move left, Bud, okay? The move is to move left and switch balls too, okay? And I got to have those other balls there because I'm going to have to make that move at least 3 times in a night, okay? So, true story here, though. Lou Gaudio saying, be careful with all the extra bags. He got sued because someone fell over his bag. True story. There,
so, what is the correct amount of bowling balls for you to have on the ball return?
That's my question. What's the code break of bowling balls on the rack? What's the number? Is it 3?
No. Okay. First off, you have to understand how many people are on your pair from the get-go. Okay.
Okay.
If I'm bowling a tournament where there's 4 on a pair, then I probably could put 2, maybe 3. To me, there's only one correct answer. There is only one correct answer here. 2 balls. You're allowed 2 balls on the rack. Your strike ball and your spare ball. Now, during practice, the correct way to do it is keep your spare ball off the lanes, have your 2 strike balls that you want to like figure out. And then as you bring a new ball in, you take 1 ball off, right? Now, if you're bowling in a league with 10 bowlers, then yeah, you're probably only keeping 1 ball on the rack and you're keeping your spare ball. So you have to know what you're bowling. You have to know the tournaments. You have to know your cross. If I'm bowling a one-on-one match against somebody and there's only 2 of us on 1 pair, then yeah, you can keep 3 on your pair. You could even probably put 4 on the ball rack and nobody's going to say anything because you have enough room for you and your opponent's stuff. So that's to me the correct answer to this problem.
So in order to correctly answer this code break, we have to then there'd have to be a chart of
Yes.
number of
Like
bowlers versus number of balls you're allowed to have
correct.
before you're breaking the code.
Yeah. It's kind of like the
Okay.
guy who did the crazy hot woman matrix. You ever
Okay.
seen that on TV
Yes,
where he
yes,
had the
I
bar
have.
graph and the hotter the girl got, the crazier she got? Yeah, that's kind of the same thing with the bowling. Like the more people that are on your pair, the less bowling balls you should have, and that's where the graph should be. I
Okay.
should probably do that for a YouTube segment. I can get a chalkboard and I can be like, here's your people on your cross is the Y. Here is your number of bowling balls is your X axis. And then
Right.
I should like draw like a little like graph to it.
Well, be aware out there. You don't want to be breaking these codes. So,
And you don't
Bud,
want to leave balls
thank
on
you for that post when we were able to clarify there. Appreciate that, Bud.
yeah, and you don't want to leave balls on the floor because you might get sued for $2 million like Lou Gaudio did.
You might. You might. All right, Rob. Final thoughts here.
Go ahead, you go first because I had a final thought and I forgot. So I'm trying to like regroup my thoughts right now.
As we get, and I'm sure some have already, but as we roll back into the Winter League session, Fall League, Winter League session, just want to remind everybody, take the opportunity to start a grassroots movement in your own area. Start a little sport league. Start a little sport bowling get together. Introduce people to the other side of the game. I'm going to be starting up with my thing sooner than later, regardless of what form it takes. I don't really care. I'll show up and bowl either way. But yeah, I just encourage people out there to try and start those grassroots movements to get people out there and competing on the more legitimate side of the game.
Nice. I like that final thought.
Theft, what's good, brother?
Okay, my final thought. What is with people these days trying to sell bowling balls online that have like okay, I saw on I think it was Bowling Ball Trader Facebook page, which could have been my worst of the week. Somebody was selling it looked like a ball that maybe had like 60 games of Columbia White Dot for like $50. Like who would buy a Columbia White Dot for $50? Even if that is with shipping, you buy the ball, Mike, for $50. Then you bring it to your pro shop. They have to plug it. They have to re-drill it. That's probably another $40 to $50 for a full plug and full re-drill. Let's just say maybe you replug the thumb and you keep the fingers. So maybe that's 25 or 30. Now you're in for 85. Why not just buy a new plastic ball for like $100 or $110? Like, why are people trying to like just it's scams all over the internet, man? It's crazy how much I see some people trying to sell these old pieces of equipment for just because it's a ball that was released 10 years ago, which was a piece of shit 10 years ago. Now it's a piece of shit definitely 10 years later. Oh, but this ball was 10 years old, 15 games, $150.
Yeah, I
Like,
just think
man,
it's because people are banking on somebody out there not being that knowledgeable.
and not a dipshit, not knowing. Yeah, I don't know. I get kind of annoyed, and it takes me sometimes my willpower not to like throw a comment and be like, "What the fuck are you smoking, bro? Like, why are you posting these up?" But you're right. Anyway, so that was my kind of final thought. I just saw that post yesterday on about a white dot, and I got all annoyed about it.
All right, Rob, I think we'll be back next Thursday for the people. I'm not 100% sure. We'll see what our schedules are like.
You have the soccer deal going on, so I don't know. You said
it wraps up at 8 o'clock, though, so I should be good to go.
Okay.
So, yeah, we should be here next week for the people.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you for coming, as usual. Thanks for joining in. We appreciate the participation. Follow us on social media. He's at Brooklyn Rob 11. I'm at the 215th. Hit us up through email, sweeptherack at Gmail if you want to talk to us. We appreciate all the emails we get, and we'll see you everybody next week.
Yeah, reach out later, guys.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob